Hello, my name is Lode de Wolf. I am Deputy Editor for the Global DIA Forum for the patient engagement content. And I have the pleasure of welcoming you to a session where we will discuss paradigm. And I'm very honored to have with me Mathieu Boudes, who is actually leading this project. And so I would like to ask first, Mathieu, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Thank you very much, Lode, for the very kind introduction. So I am Mathieu Boudes. I work for the European Patients Forum, which is an umbrella organization that works with patient organization in Europe. And we work in the field of advocacy, of course, and public health. We represent our member. We are a member-based organization. We work across disease and across country. Now, more personally, I'm the coordinator of Paradigm, which is a public-private partnership financed by the European Commission through the Innovative Medicine Initiatives in Europe, which is the largest in the world collaboration in health. And our mission is to advance patient engagement in medicine R&D. We're strong of 34 partners, 21 professional organizations, industry, patient groups, academia, and all together with our environment, with the collective intelligence, we used to have a great impact. We plan to have a great impact for the next 30 months.
Good, thank you, Mathieu. That's great. Now, a lot of our viewers are not from Europe, so it might actually be good because you said a lot of information to cut in a little piece. Can you first say a few words extra about IMI? What is IMI?
So IMI is an initiative coming from the European Commission, which is partnering with the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations. So they work together, putting resources together to work on health.
Okay.
And this is the largest public-private partnership in the world.
So they do many things, of which one project is Paradigm.
They do many things. They do from big data, from adaptive pathways, to finding new endpoints, advancing patient engagement, and this is where we are involved. And they involve any kind of stakeholders, from patient groups, academia, and of course pharmaceutical industry.
And you said they're the largest in the world?
We are the largest in the world. We're ending, the IMI is ending next year or the year before. So we're very much looking what will be the future of it. He had great impact on the environment. He provided a secure environment to work between industry and the society and different actors, different stakeholders, and that has a great impact.
Okay, so then, that's IMI. Let's now go to Paradigm. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Paradigm and how that came to be within the IMI framework? Because as I remember, IMI started out really on the research side, like you said, new endpoints, new molecules, methods. Now it's really about patient engagement. So what's the history behind Paradigm?
But first, can we really dissociate patient engagement and research?
Absolutely.
So then it makes total sense for the IMI to have a project encompassing all the stakeholders involved to work on patient engagement. This is a no-brainer. Of course, it required a bit of advocacy from groups like the European Patients Forum, but many other stakeholders. That we didn't do that alone. And IMI put that on the agenda.
Okay.
When they put that on the agenda, they launch a call for proposal, and it's an open competition. The European Patient Forum put a proposal together, form a consortium, won this competition, and then we team up with a consortium of pharmaceutical industries, companies coming together to really drive this project. So this is how the whole system is framed.
Okay, so does that mean that the consortium you're talking about is only the patient community and industry, or are there other partners, and who is else in that consortium? You said 36, that's a lot.
There is 34.
Oh, 34, sorry.
34. Now it matters. In terms of coordination, two partners
Yes.
matters a lot. So we work 21 industry and professional organizations.
Okay.
That's one hand. This is about 21 partners. Then we have academic group. So we got two, University of Oxford and the Vrij University from Amsterdam.
Yes.
Very good group. And they sustain the work. They work on the academic level, something that we need to drive the change. Yeah. So we team up with European Patient Forum, with Alzheimer Europe, with EATG, with the European AIDS Treatment Group, and also with the Eurolist, the Rare Disease European organization. With that, we also have NGOs working. We work with the Synergist, which is an incubator of good initiatives. and they are actually the leaders of another great initiative, which is PFMD, Patient-Focused Medicine Development. So we really team up between the two initiatives here. We also have Research Foundation, and this is very important, let me tell you, because Paradigm focus on three populations. We focus on adults,
Okay.
patients, adults. We also focus on people, older people with dementia that are also adults, but we had this vulnerability.
Okay.
And we also focus on children and young persons.
Okay.
And this research foundation, the San Juan de Dios Foundation, based in Barcelona, they have a huge network of children involved with them in the healthcare system, in research. This is called ICANN. And they're actually running different activities focusing on the children on healthcare. And we plug our activity there because for us, it's fantastic to have to develop medicines for children. But why children would engage with industry?
Yeah.
Why would they engage with other stakeholders? We actually don't know.
Okay.
And this is why they're bringing.
Okay, so I get it. It's I get the IMI infrastructure. I get it's a very rich table that you've developed, and congratulations for that. What can we actually expect as an outcome, and when can we expect of Paradigm? What's Paradigm going to contribute?
So Paradigm, we started a year ago, a bit more than
Only
a year.
1 year.
Only a year ago. It's public funding, so public funding dries out after 30 months in our case.
Okay.
So we're going to end in August 2020.
Okay.
We can expect, I think, 4 things.
Okay.
The one would be we run several focus group and wide survey on what are the need, the expectations, the aspirations of all the stakeholders in patient engagement.
So you have 4 deliverables.
So we got basically four deliverables. Survey, understanding the needs, the expectation, the aspiration, more than like a dream,
Okay.
what they would like in the far future.
Of each of the stakeholders.
Of each of the stakeholders, and how all of those combine.
Okay.
Because working on the public-private partnership with public money helps you to reach out to those kind of stakeholders.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking about the regulators, the HTAs, population difficult to engage with. Because of we have the safe environment of the IMI, it becomes possible.
Okay.
So that would be the first
That's
one.
number one.
From this, we draw criteria. Criteria on what is the most important for you. So we got what we need, the aspirations, the criteria. That will inform a gap analysis. What is currently missing? And we analyze that against the need, the
And when you say
prioritization.
missing, you mean from a data perspective or from a patient engagement perspective?
From a patient engagement
Okay,
perspective,
yeah.
what is missing in the field now to sustain patient engagement?
Okay.
So that.
Yes.
So that would be one piece. Out of the gap analysis, we're gonna go, okay, from there, what do we need to be developed? Tools, methods, processes that do not exist, but everybody expect.
Okay.
But Paradigm is not going to do that alone. We're going to do that with the others initiatives because we cannot afford to duplicate, and that's a commitment from Paradigm because we're based on taxpayer money a
You
lot.
don't want to duplicate.
We cannot duplicate, and we will not. So in good intelligence, we're going to decide who develops what for when. I will come back
And
to
all
the
of
when.
that in 30 months?
This is very ambitious, but we monitor our ambition to be sure that we can deliver. Then a piece which is very expected from the field, and actually that was presented today at the DIA, is a monitoring and evaluation framework for patient engagement. So how can you monitor and evaluate the impact of one practice when it comes to patient engagement?
Okay, so are you monitoring what is done or actually the output of what is done? Or
actually-
both?
Actually, everything.
Okay.
It's coming from the input, so resources, time, money, knowledge, expertise, etc. We also have the practice itself. Then we drive that into changes incurred by the practice, so we can measure that with metrics, something that is barely done. Then we have what the impact this has to do on the whole process. But of course, we know that patient engagement happens in a context, and we're also going to have metrics to measure the context. So it's quite innovative, and it's going to be very impactful. It's going to be breakthrough.
So
in the
which one
field.
do you personally think is going to move the field of engagement most?
So-
The
so-
tools or the metrics?
So I will finish from the fourth.
Okay,
If
I
you
thought that
allow.
was 4.
No, that was the third.
Okay.
The fourth will be a sustainability roadmap.
A sustainability roadmap.
Because now patient engagement is not sustainable as an ecosystem.
Why is it not sustainable today?
Because for now, it's based on grant from industry and patient groups that works together.
Okay.
And that drives a lot of impact on different stakeholders. And for that, we need to take into account what happened to another stakeholder when you do patient engagement.
Okay.
And that's something which is barely done as well. So that will be one. We also have to work fluxes of money, because we don't have to be shy about money. We're going to have fluxes of money from one hand to the other. Is everybody about that? How do you control that? How do you make that transparent? To which degree of transparency? Who provides the patient engagement? What's the role of patient groups? What are the roles of all other consultants? So all of that has to be combined into a sustainability roadmap. And as I said that Paradigm will live until August 2020. This is our deadline to deliver all of those deliverables.
So if I summarize it for the viewers, so you have the whole needs assessment, which would be the first time that we actually get it all clear out. What is it everybody expecting? Then you have all the tools, the guidelines, and that's number 2. Number 3 was the whole metrics you talked about, and ultimately you have that sustainability roadmap. So of these 4, which one do you think is going to ultimately drive the whole cultural change the strongest? I mean, I know it's a very difficult question.
So as the coordinator of Paradigm,
yes,
I will not say anything publicly about that.
Okay.
Because I need to manage expectations from people working. And I think none of them will change the field by itself. It's going to be a combination.
It's everything together.
Yeah, it's going to be everything together. The needs, for instance, is very internal for us, for the Paradigm work. It's internal cuisine that feed the work of all the work stream. So this is not going to change the field. But
okay,
we will understand what's happening. Then when we come to the sustainability roadmap, that's going to be a long-term goal, working at the ecosystem. Okay. And for EPF, for the European Patients Forum, this is what matters, the long-term, how the ecosystem is structured. Then when it comes to really operations in the next year, I think the tools developed by Paradigm, but developed by others. Yeah, I can think of the National Health Council with a calculator of the fair market value. That's going to be a breakthrough. If I think about legal agreement that is currently developed by Weekend, PFMD, this is going to be also a breakthrough, because so much burden on patient groups to understand, to feel legal agreement. We don't understand them. We're afraid of those. So this work is key. The framework, being able to measure, to prove the value to senior leadership, that will also be changed. So it's a combination of all those efforts, and this is why not one is more important than the others. They all of them are important. So I just have to conclude that if you remove all of them, then patient engagement is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But if you remove one of them, things will still continue to happen. So we need coherence.
yes,
We need efforts from everybody. We need commitment from everybody involved in medicine development, medicine life cycle, up to access, up to reimbursement. This is key. And by doing this with a collective intelligence, in goodwill, in a kindred spirit, we can really move the field forward.
okay. Now, let's look at the fact that is a different thing. Rather than moving the field, you mentioned the National Health Council and how they are working on this fair market value topic. And that's the first constituent you mentioned outside Europe. So how do you see this affecting the global space? Because how can we know that, for example, the needs assessment that you do in Europe is going to be the same thing for the US, same thing for Asia, DIA being a global organization, and also medicine development being a global effort in many cases. Can you say a little bit about where do you expect the global dimension to come in?
So Paradigm has a European focus,
yes,
with the global reach.
European focus with a global reach, okay?
Let's be honest, global reach means Europe, US and Canada.
Okay.
It's extreme, and Australia a bit. It's extremely difficult for us as EU-based organization to reach out to the rest of the world.
Okay.
This is one of our constraints. This is one of our weakness, which is very difficult to address in a 30-month project.
Sure.
Of course. So then comes the globalization. The National Health Council, key stakeholders in that field of patient engagement and way beyond patient engagement. What we need to do is, what came out of this assessment, that they're doing in the US focus, is it really relevant in Europe? It is very much asked, but how relevant it is? Can we crunch the numbers in the same way? Probably not. Do we need to add another dimension of it? In Europe, we know that not all the countries have the same income in general. So should we adjust that? How? What's the key between all those numbers? So I think this is where Paradigm, but way beyond the EU community, will have to work on this tool. We need to have the basis, but how can we adapt to our own environment? This is not globalization. This is Atlantic discussion, but that's the first step towards globalization.
Okay. Now, those tools, are you really focusing on the drug development? So, does what you develop stop at regulatory approval, or does it go stop at pricing? Where does the scope stop for you?
So you said very well. Everything in 30 months?
That's
no,
a lot.
no, not everything. We decided to focus on 3 time points in the R&D.
Okay.
We focus in early discovery.
Yes.
How do you plug patient engagement in early research? The field is not mature there, not yet. Then the low-hanging fruit, if I may say, is the design of clinical trial.
Yes.
The third point is early dialogue with HTA and regulators.
For pricing and reimbursement.
No, for approval and HTA approval, not pricing.
Okay. For approval and okay. Yes.
Yeah. Now we know very much that early dialogue, early discussion with MEA, with the regulators and the HTA is part of the design of clinical trial.
Yes.
So here the European Patient Forum took a stance to say, as an advocacy effort, we want to put the flashlight on early dialogue. For us, it's a key milestone in the development of medicine. That should happen very early, systematically. It doesn't, for sure. But by having patient engagement at that moment, putting a light on it, we expect that we're going to have a bit of impact there.
That's very consistent. I actually went to a session earlier today here at DNA where there was the FDA speaking, and the actual conclusion was patient engagement needs to happen early and ongoing, which is essentially very much in line what you want.
Early, yes, it's never too early, but it has to happen when it's relevant.
Okay, that's important. Can you expand on that?
If we study a toxicology study,
Yes.
you may not need to have a really strong patient engagement in that moment.
Okay.
So yes, we advocate for it's never too early, but only when it's relevant. We don't want to put burden on the industry because those folks are not yet ready, but also on patient representative. It's a scarce resources, patient representatives, so we need to be sure that they engage when it's the most relevant.
So that's an important message. It's not about all the time, it's about it's
early.
early.
I'm sorry to cut you there, but this is key. And CTTI, CT in UN, the Clinical Trial Transformation Initiative, is developing a tool where you can find the highest value for the 2 parties that are going to engage. Okay. And that's also part of a tool, a set of tools which can move the field forward for sure.
Okay. Now I have a final question maybe. How can the DIA members who again are across the world, and they're not just industry, can they stay informed about this Paradigm initiative?
So Paradigm, we are on social media.
Yes.
So it's at IMI _Paradigm. I think that's the primary source of information because we are not publishing yet. Studies are ongoing. But I think the best hashtag to follow what's happening is #patient engagement on Twitter. This is where you get the most of it.
#patient engagement on Twitter. Is that your hashtag?
It's part of the hashtag. It's a hashtag we use. We didn't create it. We're just using among all the stakeholders. And with that, you get great insight of what's happening.
Well, Mathieu, I think it's absolutely exciting. It's amazing that a field that hasn't moved for so many years, that you are trying within 30 months to drive such deep fundamental change. So I want to thank you again. Thank you for being at DIA. Thank you for this interview. And viewers, if you have any further questions or need for information, go to the hashtags and go to the website that Mathieu said. Thank you so much, Mathieu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.